Should we get into that? Because it's
Yeah,
in
why not?
everything I read. It's like Blowup doll, and she's very heavy.
Now, Craig, how does a movie like this come to a first-time director?
Actually, John Cameron, who's sitting down, the producer on the film.
That handsome man right there.
Yes, it's funny. We're actually, I'll try and keep it brief, but our wives,
45 minutes.
our wives are friends and been friends for like the last 5 years. And professionally, we hadn't done anything together. And he called me up one day and said, "I've got this movie about a guy that falls in love with a sex doll." And I was on the set of something else, and I almost said, "Don't bother." But being a friend, I said, "You know, all right, send it over." And I did. He did, and I didn't get around to it for a few weeks. And then my wife picked it up, who's a much tougher critic than I am, and she said, "Have you read this?" And I said, "No, I haven't picked it up yet." She's like, "It's really good." And I was like, "Really?" Okay. So I picked it up and I read it, and it really hasn't changed since that first draft that Nancy wrote. And then we met Nancy and talked about it and gave her my take on it, and we kind of all agreed to try and do it together.
Now, Nancy, where does something like this come from?
A dark and mysterious thing. I had a weird job where I came into contact with a lot of perverse websites and lonely guys, and the seed was planted, and I kind of took it from there.
Wait, what was the job?
That's a deep, dark secret.
Well, there's only a few of us in the room, so I swear we won't tell anybody.
And I trust you all, but no.
Well, I'll move on to you then, Ryan. I mean, not about the website or anything like that, but God, look at you, yes. As a Canadian, you would understand perversity deeply.
Wow. You guys gonna take that? I don't.
No, it won't be revolt yet. Well,
So passive.
now, did somebody tell you about this, or how did the script get to you?
I don't know. I heard the concept of it, and obviously I was intrigued, but I could never have been prepared for what I was going to read, So it's I think everybody has the same. I've never been warned so much not to ruin a movie in my life, Everybody who read the script, it's their favorite script, and I read it and it was one of mine, I just thought it was such a. Conceptually it's fun. It's a kind of a funny idea, but it's quite emotional, and I thought it was really beautiful. The idea that you could love something that didn't have to love you back. That love isn't a transaction. That it's something that you can just give freely of your own will, and that it's real. It's real even if it's not reciprocal. So I thought it was really kind of a powerful idea.
But it's interesting too. I'll turn to you, Patty, because you get to play the person who has to deal with him about this. You can sort of see the feelings welling up in you, and it's sort of interesting to vibe between your character, the shrink, being the professional, and the person who's also dealing with them too. How did you figure out a way to play that? I mean, because you could have just sort of been detached from it, but you weren't.
Well, I want to say first, when I was told that it's a movie about a sex doll, I was like, send it quickly. I want to read this. But oddly, I've done so much work being, but I've never played a therapist, and so I was intrigued to kind of enter the world, that character, and I don't know, it was beautifully written, and I'm acting with Ryan, so it was easy, I just had to show up, basically. And Craig was there to edit and guide and direct, but I don't know. I thought about it, and I thought I actually thought, don't overthink it, and maybe that's the secret. Just let approach it, even though it's an intellectual character. Approach it emotionally, because the intellect will be there. Because that's who she is, and so I don't know. But I was very excited to be in a movie with a blow-up doll.
You want to talk a little bit more about that? Well, Kelli, you actually play a character who's really the 180 from Patricia's character. You're really all heart, and you kind of think with your heart in the movie. Was it interesting to play somebody like that, to have somebody who's just all feelings and is not afraid to express herself?
It was really refreshing, actually. I don't find myself actually very often playing good-hearted people for some reason. So no, it was really lovely. It's a really giving movie to me, so it was great to release everything that was in me and give. So it was beautiful. This character is really special to me, so it was lovely.
Well, Paul, I mean, I know you've worked with a first-time, you actually got your start with a first-time director. This is a pretty complicated character to play in the community with a first-time director. Were those concerns for you?
Well, I'm concerned about everything I do. It's sort of, neuroses is my guide, so I don't really, so just waking up in the morning is hard enough. But in a way that I haven't quantified, nor I'm necessarily interested in finding out for myself, I respond to stuff. And I, at the very least, I think to myself, I could be in this film and it would not be a mistake for the casting director. Like they wouldn't be fired. And so like at the lowest common denominator, like that's my job, is to make sure that the casting director has a decent reputation after the film. And the script, for whatever reason, I just saw myself in it, and I saw how I would do it, not any better or worse than anyone else, but I thought, okay, that wouldn't be a mistake if I was in this film. And as far as, Gus's dilemma and his inner strife and all that other stuff, it wasn't that hard to engender that with, like really solid coworkers. And at the end of the day, what Patty was saying about not overthinking it is really important, because, we just have to show up and do a job of work and not concern ourselves with how artful it all may be, and just sort of listen to each other at the end of each scene and then move on to the next one. So I didn't think a lot about his inner struggle, because it was all right. I mean, Nancy did the thinking. So,
Do you feel the same way too, Emily, that a lot of that was there on the page and it was easy to commit to for that reason?
Yes, it was. It was It was the most beautiful script to read, and a complete no-brainer, more so than anything really I've done, I think. You just wanted to be in it when you read it and loved it. But having said that, we did do some method acting, me and Paul. We went to Walmart together and had a burger, and that's the most method acting I've ever done, and it was really fun. We went to
a hamburger at Walmart?
No, we went to Walmart first to do our grocery shopping, and then we went to like an Applebee's or something afterwards and had
a burger.
That was your...
And a little quarrel.
That was your preparation?
Yeah. Oh, no. You know what we did is we bought that DVD because we thought that would be our favorite movie, The Great Escape.
Yeah, we bought
We
The
decided
Great
was our
Escape.
couple's favorite movie. But it's a great movie. I mean, that's not ironic. Like,
And we decided we wouldn't watch it, we'd just have it there.
we just have it somewhere on set.
With the assumption that we'd watched it many, many times.
But it's funny because
You didn't get that?
Paul took me to Applebee's too, and he said
He
that
did not.
Oh, no.
special thing. It was for me.
You're such a tough.
Yeah.
When I'm working with movie stars, I still have to make my rent. So any way that
And we got Bullet was our favorite.
Bullet is our favorite. Yeah, it's true. It's really true. And Kelly and I got
we were
Weekend
kids,
at
I would
Bernie's.
watch the car chase.
Yeah.
Great car chase.
It's true. I'm just trying to keep up with these kids.
That's
so.
fine, Paul.
Well, Bullet is such a couples movie. Of course you like Bullet.
Yeah.
On that note, let's turn to the audience for some questions. There must be questions out here because I can't keep up with this. But one thing I actually want to ask you, Nancy, is I wonder if you were familiar with if O. Henry is kind of a thing for you at this and all, the short stories of O. Henry, because it feels.
Yes, I am.
And it feels a lot like that in a way. So I wonder if that was kind
Really?
of. Yeah.
Because I'm kind of anti-O. Henry. But you mean in terms of the, how do you mean?
Well, the stories are often about somebody being so devoted to something that
Gift of the Magi.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, there are better ones than that one. But yeah, there's this, I forget there's a story about a woman who's looking at a leaf and she's thinking she's dying. And when the leaf falls from the tree, that'll be the end of her life. And she doesn't realize the leaf has been painted on a tree. So she commits to this thing.
Okay, I'm not anti that, O. Henry. But I see what you mean. But it didn't come from a particular place like that, but I think it comes from the same consciousness of the importance of a moment, or and a simplicity simplicity and elegance of line that O. Henry stories have, something like that, and their simplicity to follow and get into.
The question's out here.
Hi, this question's for Ryan. I'm Kate Stutzman with CHCH News in Hamilton. Oh, yeah. Now, we always love to hear about success stories, so I have to ask, how much did living in Burlington, which is one of our main markets, kind of influence your career at all? That's question number one. People want to know.
Yes, they're very encouraging people, those
Yes.
people from Burlington. And Canadians in general. You feel very supported, you know. I think in terms of, I think that the town, well, we shot not far from there as well, so I think that for me it was interesting because it was like making a movie about growing up. I mean, it wasn't hard for me. It wasn't a struggle. Yeah. Why are you not liking me? You liked me a minute ago now. Now you don't like me.
Blow-up dolls, though, when you were in high school?
What's that?
About blow-up dolls? Making a movie about blow-up?
Well, no, we need to settle this right now. And she's not a blow-up doll. How many people here think she's a blow-up doll? Be honest. You're not being honest. She's not a blow-up doll. She's the real. Should we get into that, because it's in everything I read. It's like blow-up doll. And she's very heavy. And it was a lot of work, and I want credit.
It comes in 2 boxes, so clearly it's not a blow-up doll.
What's that?
It comes in a very big box, so it's obviously not a blow-up doll.
There you go.
She's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, she's solid.
Lars, that's what's not.
Paul.
Is that what we're talking about?
Children are watching.
Is that what?
We went over that joke in the back.
I'm
I
confused.
told you.
Not that joke?
Yeah, no. Do the other one. Do the other one.
The other one.
Change the subject. Talk about Burlington again.
Okay, sorry, Burlington. I'm sorry, the answer to the Burlington question is
God.
that obviously, but that doesn't come into, oh, sorry. I didn't answer her question completely, although I don't have a great answer.
Yes.
All right, forget it. You go. You're the boss, Elvis. Run this show. It's a circus here. Come on.
We're losing the light. Let's go. Come on.
This is Lansdale Festival Access. Maybe you might be able to continue the discussion, but I'm more. This is actually, the tone of this is what I'm talking about. We're all joking with the blow-up doll, and I'm wondering if there was ever any concern, that your potential audience may not take it seriously, or that they might be confused and perhaps not enjoy this movie, not even be able to go and see it because they think it's about just a blow-up doll. Was there ever any concern on that?
That's always been a discussion with marketing. I don't know if we're going to, if it's necessarily solved, but I think hopefully with word of mouth, that's something, because we're joking about it here, but we were very serious about the weight of what the emotional journey Lars is going through. And we, on the set, there was actually very respectful with Bianca. It's like she had handlers and she only came on and off when we were using her, and we had set a tone that we felt we needed to respect what this relationship was, and carried that through the performances and the whole.
So this begs the question for me: how do you cast Bianca? I mean, I know you cast people. How do you cast an object?
It was actually up to me. There's an endless array of choices, and it's a factory. It's an actual sex doll you can buy in San Diego. There's a place that makes these things, and there's also a documentary that just came out on BBC last month, I think, with guys that have these relationships, and it's quite sad and tragic, and it's much more emotional than physical for these guys in these relationships. But I saw some photographs, and this one doll actually had a soul to it. It's like, and she has freckles, and she's not like the most attractive or stereotype of a doll. And I wanted to go with something that you could grow to empathize with. And we actually changed Bianca through the film. She starts out with a lot of makeup, and we stripped that away and let the freckles start to show. And work with it very subtly so that she can grow on you with Ryan and Lars's character.
And how do you relate to something like, I mean, because you're playing scenes with something unreal.
Yeah, but I don't listen to other actors anyway. I act in a vacuum and as it is, so it was easy. It was interesting for me. I had a really special experience on this film. I think it's really, I'm just really proud of it and more anxious to see what people think of it than any movie I've done, because it's so special and there's nothing really that I could compare it to. But my experience was unique as well. And in working with Bianca, I went through a lot of, I thought I was going to have to play two characters and that, have to play her part as well, and having these dialogues in my head with her and all of these things. But and it's going to sound funny to say it, but that she had a really calming presence, and I felt.
What do you mean, calming presence?
She just she had a real presence.
Okay.
And you could tell when she was on set. You could feel. You could feel that she was there. There was kind of a reverence for what Nancy had written, and everybody was trying to honor that. And I had a pretty interesting relationship with her, because in those scenes, I felt completely alone and I isolated with her, because this movie depends on our relationship. And as soon as they said action, it was just her and I. And I actually formed a bond with her that would be kind of hard to explain, but that there was something very comforting about her eventually, and about doing scenes with her, and I began to really look forward to our scenes together, and I felt very connected to her. And I didn't have to strive for a relationship as much as I thought I would have to. I really grew to very close to her in some way.
Was it the same for you, Emily? Did you feel that same kind of connection in the scenes you
I
had with her?
felt shy of her. It's so weird. I felt like I couldn't quite meet her in the eye. Like I would look her in the eye. No, I was kind of. But she was really very real in that way. Like she was definitely something there, and you were very aware of her, and she gave a kind of, I don't know, like sort of dignity to. She was very dignified and. I can't explain it, but I was shy of her, and I was shy of their relationship. Like I felt like, I don't know. I was.
Like you intruding on their relationship?
Yeah, kind of, tiny bit. Like there was, like you couldn't kind of, you didn't want to interfere too much or something, and I sort of, I felt bad afterwards. I felt like I was kind of fake with her, like I was pretending. Because I didn't quite know how to deal with her, and I felt like I was being a bit false. But no, that she was a real presence, and she had a great, and it's such an amazing and lovely paradox that this strange creature, this sex doll, which kind of is potentially so sort of upsetting in a way, and to do with the kind of dark side of life, or with the confusing, weird, messy part of life, brought such grace somehow to in the film, and and to the atmosphere on the set. There was something very graceful and dignified about her and having her there that was kind of intimidating.
What was your relationship towards it, Paul?
Well, you have to understand, like the doll, Bianca, is extremely lifelike. You know what I mean? Like it's like a state-of-the-art piece of work. I mean, like it's like a Ron Mueck sculpture. You know what I mean? It's like dead seriously super realistic.
So you do feel it in the room, because in that way you would feel one of those sculptures. I mean,
absolutely. Have you seen his stuff? Okay,
yeah.
It's really a strange experience.
You actually feel that stuff before you go into the room, that presence of that.
Absolutely, and also, what Craig had done on set is he had people handling Bianca in a wheelchair, and as much as Ryan wanted to sort of be her chaperone from when he moved from like one room to the next to be shooting and all that, it was like. I guess the way that we make ourselves comfortable with a subject like this is to be sort of bawdy and vulgar and laugh about it. But honestly, you have to understand, like on set, it's like sort of being around a mirror all the time. And if you're in front of a mirror, you kind of like sort of stand a little taller and sort of, because she's just silent. I mean, she's inanimate, she's just going to be there quiet. So you know, for my character, she was kind of like reflecting my faults more harshly back at me. And so because I had a different relationship to Bianca than obviously Ryan or Emily, I stayed quite a bit away from Bianca. I didn't want to see how real she was. I didn't want to touch her, or, you know, because she's actually a sort of a state-of-the-art piece of really fantastic sort of, you know, engineering to make this thing. But I really wanted to stay away from it so that when Craig rolled camera on Emily and I's reaction to the actual doll, when my little brother has brought this thing in thinking that it's a missionary, I wanted there to be some semblance of truth in that reaction. And I feel like the specific tone of the script that was so important for all of us to try to maintain was brought by the fact that, you know, we have this, you know, almost like, she's almost like bait for an audience. You know, you come and see that, but then hopefully our reactions to it are as honest as possible. And then you have some kind of interesting interplay there between something that could be taken into National Lampoon's land, but instead I feel like my job was to sort of try to act as honestly towards this thing as I could. And you know, Emily is exactly right that she did have a presence. I mean, I never had scenes with her alone, and I can't imagine what Ryan was doing in the preparing for scenes like that. But you know, for me, it was everyone needed to calibrate their distance from Bianca to find out like how truthful they need to be and to find that relationship within themselves.
What was it like for you, Kelli?
I was really jealous of the doll. Because my character, I truly fell in love with Lars. So it was really hard. I mean, it was also interesting because Craig, as a director, gave me the option as an actor if I wanted to make this doll real in my head or not. And I guess I was having trouble trying to come up with an answer for that, and then I realized, well, that's my answer. It was a struggle for my character because I wanted to make it real for the sake of Lars, because at least in my head, my character understood him and felt a lot for him. So I wanted that choice. But at the same time, as a normal 23-year-old girl, she's fake, you know. There's no life there. She's non-existent. I mean, she's a thing, and she's definitely special for him. So I was really jealous of her, but that's fine. She's really beautiful too. So.
Patty?
God, you guys had very complicated relationships. And are we partying later?
Yes, please.
Okay. No, you know, Elvis, honestly, I think, maybe because of my character, I had kind of an objectivity, but I kind of sat back and watched everybody. It's so funny, I think the energy off camera, you know, translates on, and everyone's relationship off camera with the doll was very existent on camera. So it was kind of great for the movie and a great energy on set, because everyone had this amazing relationship, however they wanted to define it, with Bianca. And it kind of, it was there at all times, when the camera was rolling, when the camera wasn't rolling, maybe late at night when no one was looking. I don't know. You know what I mean? It was, no. But I mean, it was just, so it was interesting. And I kind of just observed it, and I found it actually very helpful and quite charming to see everyone's relationship to it. So.
A question?
This whole discussion has me an image of you taking turns running lines with Bianca, saying, okay, it's my turn, she'd come to my trailer. Alan Silverman from Hollywood Bites and News Talk Radio. The question I have is for the cast members, to get your sense of why the characters the characters in the town were so willing to go along with this, because I think that keeps it from teetering over the edge of the ooh factor when you realize that everyone cares so much for Lars that they're willing to do this. We're willing to put up with this ruse. And I'm wondering what each of your sense is of why that is, what the relationship is that they're willing to go that way.
I think that's a good question. I think it speaks to Nancy's credit and to the uniqueness of the film, because I think what really makes this film so special is that it really believes in people. And I don't think it's necessarily that they want to help. Maybe they want to help Lars or they don't. But I think that it recognizes people's need to be a part of something that's special, and to have stories to tell, and to be connected to something, and to have something unusual happen to them in their lives. You know, and I think that the most, like I think of a film like Edward Scissorhands, which I love. It's an amazing film, but that in a way it's kind of pessimistic view of people, and that they can't really be around with anything special. They have to kind of have their way with it, and then ultimately they'll taint something that's pure, which is true as well. You know, I think that's not one ultimate truth. That's a side of it. But I think that Nancy kind of, and I don't mean to speak for you, but one of the things that I thought was so special about it was that it really believed in people, and it believed that people wanted to be. That are inherently good.
I think that's true, and that's what, as you said, is so. One of the things that's so surprising and cool about the movie is that you think when this sex doll is introduced that it's going to be a question of this poor guy having to deal with the sort of judging society, and in fact it isn't that at all. And there's something really subversive about that, actually, that it then becomes about everybody's, and I think Paul really hits on it, that there's something about this doll that makes you look at yourself. You know, your initial reaction is sort of fear and confusion, and then you can't help but there's something about the impassivity of that person that makes you kind of go into yourself and question everything, and I think that happens to all the characters, including the community, you know, that we all somehow, that all the issues and problems in our own lives are brought to the surface by the introduction of this person, and it's about everybody coming to terms with that rather than an outsider dealing with a sort of judging society.
And it's on, just real quickly, on set it mirrored what was happening in the film. You could see that people over the course of shooting started to develop relationships with her too. You know, the focus puller would take her focus, and if he was too close to her eye, he'd apologize. You know, and they didn't even realize that he was doing it. You know, the handlers would give her magazines in between shots, and everybody slowly started to love her. I mean, it happened. You know, and we're being really like reverential right now as we talk about it. It's probably kind of funny from the outside. But, you know, I guarantee you, if you spent 10 minutes in a room with Bianca, you'd love it too.
When she would, you know, and, you know, she was never like naked. I mean, like whenever they would change her, she would never just be changed on set in front of everybody. It was always modesty. There was modesty for her. And
when did you decide to do that, to make her like this actual presence instead of treating her like just a doll?
For this reason, you know, it's like I thought because that's the center of the film, and if we don't approach her with the respect of an actress that you would have in a film, it's just not going to work, because everybody has to have that gravity to it, you know. And just to add to the town for a second, it's like there's a lot of emphasis being placed on Bianca, but I think it's Lars' belief in Bianca. She's really what is the conduit that makes everybody be able to connect. Without her, there's all these people in their own worlds, but she's sort of that catalyst that starts to make people want to be able to reach out and talk to each other.
In a way, the film kind of reminded me a little bit of The Velveteen Rabbit, and I don't know if that had anything to do with you, Nancy, but I thought, you know, like a child's love for his toy is extremely real. You know, he loves it.
What's that focus, that concentration you put on, then it's real to you, or even like
Right,
Calvin and Hobbes,
right.
where Hobbes is real to him and nobody else.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. He really does love it. And that, like, I had a friend one time when they were kids, they lost their teddy bear. And everybody in the family and in school and everyone knew how much he loved it because he had it with him all the time. And when he lost it, they put out like missing ads in the newspaper, and the whole town kind of pulled together to try and find this toy for him, you know. And you know, I just think it speaks to that if it's there was an innocence about the film that I think that people in the town got behind, and then ultimately we as cast members and filmmakers got behind, you know.
Barb Van Cherry from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Given the affection that you've just voiced, what became of Bianca after you finished?
Melted down. Turned into earring.
She was rendered.
There's actually more than one Bianca. I have one and Ryan has one.
You do? You do? Where? Where'd you keep it?
Huh?
Where do you keep it?
Wow, it's not important really. Where, you know, it's wherever she wants to be at that time, I think is.
But she has a presence.
I have no doubt that she does. Get the microphone over here, right behind you.
I heard yours is dating Colin Farrell. Is that true?
It's not dating so much.
It's friends.
They were out.
They're friends.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Leanne Goodman from the Canadian Press. I'm just wondering, Ryan, coming from sort of small town Ontario, did you see, was something about this script familiar to you? Because it is a small town and nobody ever really turns against this guy. You sort of expect for a moment in the bowling alley that they're going to be mean to him, but nobody ever is. And I wondered if that was familiar to you. And also, what does Rachel think of the fact that you've got Bianca living in your home?
She doesn't like it. And the other thing is that I think, I mean, I was so happy that Craig chose to shoot the film here because I thought that it was, I mean, in a way I was kind of always imagining that it would be here anyway when I read it. It's the sensibility of the people in the town is so much like, you know, where I grew up. And I felt like, you know, it's been working with all of the actors, so many of the actors were Canadian, that it was just like there's an inherent niceness to them that you believe it in the film, you know. I think it doesn't feel like a stretch or something when they want to help. It's just a part of their nature. So
Do you think it would not have worked in a town in America if you had been there?
You know, we don't need to start. It's not, we don't have to fight about it. Canadians are nicer. It's known, right?
Okay.
You know,
Well, on that lovely note, let's thank the cast of Lars and the Real Girl.